This is BluLunch, Sheridan College's own sports podcast, hosted by Jay and Drew.
It is January 29th. That means it's another episode of BluLunch. It's game day, Buffalo-Toronto. Before we look at Buffalo-Toronto, we're going to look at what's happened in the NHL, some of the good teams, some of the bad teams. PK Subban signed. Justin's a big fan of him. Jamie Benn signed. We're going to talk some of the rookies that are producing. We'll look at the Neil Yakupov celebration. Obviously, Leafs and Sabres, and we'll talk a little Super Bowl too.
Predictions. Oh, Alex Smith?
Alex Smith.
Do I hear Alex Smith
calling?
calling?
Alex Smith on the week of the Super Bowl.
I think the Bills are calling his agent.
You want to talk backup quarterback the week of the Super Bowl?
I do.
Okay.
But not for the 49ers. For the Bills, who are, what, bottom feeders again? Just like the Leafs. Let's move on.
Before we went on air, you said that for me not to use move on, and you just used it. But before we went on air, Jay said that Ryan Fitzgerald shouldn't be quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. And I said, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. And he said, whatever, same crap. And I said, you're right. If he was good, you would know his name. But
or if I cared about the Bills.
True. But what do you want to do? Do you want to look at the good or the bad in the NHL?
Let's tackle the sorry, that was my phone. Let's tackle the good first.
So we're going to tackle how good Chicago and San Jose have been then?
Yes, I think I know someone who is a Blackhawks fan. And they're gloating right now. I don't know anyone who's a San Jose fan. I don't know very many Sharks fans.
I'm a San Jose fantasy fan. I have Antti-Niemi as my goalie, so I'm enjoying the San Jose run.
You just must be loving this, right?
Go on. I'm not really loving it, but go on. Blackhawks,
kind of surprising if you ask me. My question is it a fluke? Because their goaltending is it's not to the level as some other teams, yet they're undefeated, and those other teams, like, say, New York Rangers, are, let's put it this way, the New York Rangers have the same record as the Leafs. Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't know that by the game just this past Saturday where they played against the Leafs. But we're going to get to that. Blackhawks, though, is this a surprise?
Not really. I mean, they won the Cup, what was it? Are they 2 years removed from winning?
2 or 3 years, yeah.
Yeah. So, it was L.A. and was it Chicago before that?
L.A., Boston,
and then Chicago. Sorry.
I hate those Bruins. You know why? You know why I hate the Bruins? Because essentially we as in the Leafs, built the team for them to win the Cup.
I'm gonna make a list.
Don't
our shows and to go through every single team that you hate, because I think we're up to 6 right now.
No. Okay, I promise I am not going to be biased anymore. No. Listen, I listened to the show last week. I'm not going to be biased anymore. I swear to God. I swear.
It's Boston, Ottawa, Montreal.
No, I never said Ottawa.
Edmonton.
I actually gave Ottawa props. Ottawa's playing really well. And
Vancouver and Edmonton you hate. No, Calgary? Or did you say you liked Edmonton?
I feel sorry for Calgary.
Yeah.
They're like
the West Leafs.
They're the Western Leafs.
Yeah. When the Leafs had
Edmonton, I loathe. Montreal, there's no feeling in this world that can compare to the hatred I have for the Montreal Canadiens. The player that should not be on that team, who is now currently on the team because he just signed, PK Subban, should not be on the Montreal Canadiens. Should be on the Leafs. He's a Toronto boy. Let's move on to the Blackhawks. We've been going off topic.
You sound like Don Cherry. Anyways. Yes, the Chicago Blackhawks are 6-0.
Yes.
Only 2 points ahead of the Blues, though, in the division. I still think St. Louis will take it. But as for your question of whether I think they're the real deal, I think they'll come back to earth. I think the goaltending will catch up with them. Corey Crawford, he showed flashes in the past, especially not last year, the year before that. He almost stole them the Vancouver-Chicago series. He played lights out. So, I mean, they got a great D pairing in Keith and Seabrook. Jean-Merson solid on the back end.
Duncan
Nick Leddy's had a good year. And then obviously the forwards, They got 4 All-Stars, Kane, Tave, Sharp, and Hossa.
That lineup, I mean...
It's good superstar lineup. I don't think they're as good of a team as other teams. For example, St. Louis. I mean, once you get past the 4 guys on offense, and then maybe you get past Jean-Merson on D, it's really just fill-ups. When they went to the Cup that year, do you remember who they had? They had Andrew Ladd, Dustin Byfuglien. They had guys like that, Troy Brouwer, and now they don't. So one of these games...
Chris Versteeg? Oh.
Chris, was he on the team? Yeah, he was on the team.
I hate that
And then the
kid.
Leafs got him.
I don't like that kid very much.
I hate. It's all negative from Justin today.
No, it's just... I don't like hockey players that have attitude problems. And Chris Versteeg, if you know anything about Chris Versteeg, has an attitude problem when it comes to his teams. That's why they traded him from Chicago. And that's why Toronto traded him.
Would we get Tyler Biggs out of that?
No. Wait.
We got a first-round pick. I think so.
Tyler Biggs.
He was on, the 4th line for USA Juniors?
No, he wasn't. He was on the first line.
No, he wasn't.
He was on the first line.
No, he wasn't.
Oh, my God. We're going to look this up.
Galchenyuk, Grimaldi. There was a bunch of guys. I remember Biggs was playing on the 3rd line.
How many gold medals have other prospects in the Leafs organization won? Besides Gardner and Biggs.
Is Justin Pogge still in the Leafs organization? Are you impressed?
Are you a Leafs fan?
Are you impressed with San Jose?
I'm not sure.
They seem to do this every year.
I know, like it's
Thornton and Marleau and
Thornton are lights out so far.
Patrick Marleau had 14 points opening week. I went up against him in fantasy hockey. That's why I said I'm not all pro Sharks, even though I have Niemi. But Patrick Marleau, 14 points. Joe Thornton had 13. Joe Pavelski, I think, had 12 or 13. And then we're not even including Logan Couture, Martin Havlat. They have a good, solid team. Dan Boyle on the back end. I think Niemi's more established. I think you would agree with me if you had to pick between Niemi and Crawford, which Chicago did ironically have to pick. They would pick Niemi.
So we've covered 2 undefeated Western teams, which are on paper amazing, and statistically so far have played really well. For Eastern teams, there's not one undefeated, but what are the good teams? Two really good teams in the East right now.
To be honest, Boston's 4-0. As much as it probably pains you to hear that, they won a
look at their team though.
They got a solid team. Their
stacked.
top 6 is
Their
really good.
Their goaltending is better than a lot of other teams.
If they had Tim Thomas, I think I would pick him for the Stanley Cup. But as long as Tuukka Rask holds up, they'll be okay. Dougie Hamilton looked really good last night. I watched the end of the game last night. Boston was able to pull it out versus Carolina. They're a solid team. They should win the Northeast. Maybe Buffalo gives them a run, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't know about Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo...
They're just one of those teams every year. They seem to have enough skill, and they seem to just get by. And I don't know how Lindy Ruff's kept his job since the late 90s.
I don't know with Ryan Miller how you don't make the playoffs every single year.
Well, Ryan Miller, he's a lock for 30 wins every year.
Isn't that, especially in a shortened season, if he's a lock for 30 wins, like tonight he's facing the Leafs. He's starting tonight, right? I don't see why probably not. Is because Ryan Miller's, what is he, 28 and 14?
I don't think the Leafs ever have faced Jonas Enroth.
and why would Lindy Ruff go against that? Like, Ryan Miller has so much success against the Leafs, and with that in mind, he has so much success with a lot of other teams. So if your number one goalie can win 30 games, imagine a 48-game season. You're in the playoffs. You're probably second in your conference.
Well, I said Ryan Miller would win 30 in an 80-game season. He should win 20 this year. You would think. If
20 is pretty good.
Yeah,
in a 48-game season.
Just Buffalo doesn't seem to put it all together. They're just one of those teams.
Against the Leafs,
they're mediocre. They can play really good. They can play really bad.
So what side of the this is probably going to be at the end of our conversation anyways, but what side of the Sabres are we going to see tonight against the Leafs? Are we going to see the same team that totally dominated them in goaltending, or are we going to see a team who gets scored on now, finally?
I think Buffalo will play a better offensive game tonight. They're at home.
But which goalie will win the game?
I
If we're talking offense, if I was gonna guess with JVR on the first line, we're probably gonna see more goals from the Leafs. But
we'll get into Leaf Sabres in a couple minutes. We seem to go off topic and relate everything back to Toronto.
Well, we're in Toronto. We're in the GTA. It's a Toronto hockey, baseball city / basketball. I hate the Raptors because they don't do anything. Just like, actually, you know what? The Leafs don't do much either. So maybe I hate the Leafs
too. A surprise to me who's been bad has been the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, yeah. I know that they're only 2-3. Cam Ward hasn't really shown what he's capable of. They brought in Jordan Stahl. Jeff Skinner's back from injury. They added Alex Semin. But Carolina just doesn't seem to have the right chemistry right now. Another team that has struggled, Phoenix Coyotes. Usually they're good every year. Mike Smith's hurt. And Chad Johnson got the shutout for them last night.
One interesting note about the Phoenix Coyotes I would like to share is that Matthew Lombardi, who was just traded from the Leafs to them, is now being put on the long-term injury reserve because he's out indefinitely with an upper body injury. That 4th-round pick's looking real good right about now. But anyways,
Lombardi was putting up some points, though, but
he
I don't know if you saw.
Lombardi, I mean, that was tough for me to see him go for... I mean, it was going to be a 3rd-round pick if he didn't get injured because... he may still re-sign with Phoenix.